There is a continent where time doesn't simply move forward. It coils back into circles of memory. Where the ancient isn't buried but still alive, in stone, in temples, and in the eyes of its people. Where nature isn't still, but roars through volcanoes and breathes deep in the jungle. And melts slowly through icy rivers. This is the Americas. A land of beginnings and unhealed fractures. From forgotten civilizations to cities born of hope and exile. Every landscape has a soul. Every soul and a legend waiting to be told. And this journey is your key to unlocking 1,000 worlds hidden within one continent. So tell me, where will you begin? With the echoes of Machu Picchu, the salt flats that mirror the sky, or the streets where salsa and sorrow dance hand in hand? Come with me from north to south. Across 20 untold stories, 20 heartbeats sync to the rhythm of this land. Your compass is curiosity. The map, rewritten with every step. And now the journey begins. On the world map, there are places that do not belong to time, where every breeze carries the scent of sea salt. And every drumbeat echoes the call of ancestors. In the heart of the Caribbean Sea. More than 7,000 islands drift beneath the tropical sun. They are not merely havens for vacationers. They are vaults of ancient secrets. Traces of resistance, fiery festivals, and stories whispered across generations. From Jamaica to Haiti, from Aruba to St. Lucia, the Caribbean is a tapestry woven from reggae and rum. Jungles and coral. And the soul of the sea. Today, we leave the mainland behind. Step ashore on each island to hear the people tell their stories. To read history etched into stone and brick. And to discover why these waters hold more than just beauty. On the map of the Caribbean, Cuba appears like a long fish swimming through tropical waters. Close to the mainland, yet distant from everything. This is not just a tourist island, it is a grand historical stage. Where music, gunfire, and sea breeze intertwine. Havana, Cuba's capital, is a city frozen in time. Pastel-colored vintage cars roll over cobbled streets beneath golden sunlight. Like scenes from a faded film reel. On a weathered wooden balcony, a woman closes her eyes. Listening to a son cubano tune humming from an old speaker. Below, children scatter grains for the pigeons, carefree, as if history has nothing to remember. But Cuba, and Havana in particular, will forever be linked to the memory of revolution. The story of Fidel Castro and Che Guevara isn't just in the history books. It's painted on walls, printed on shirts, and pulsing through daily life. Massive graffiti murals portray Che's portrait beside the words. Hasta la victoria siempre. Until victory, always. Locals say that when the revolution erupted, the sound of the Tres guitar still echoed through the dark alleys of the poor neighborhoods. For them, music was how the soul resisted being crushed by the tides of history. Cuba was once the jewel of the Spanish colonial empire, its sugar and tobacco plantations sustaining empires across the ocean. But it was also where African slaves, European traders, and Chinese migrants converged, creating a uniquely blended cultural symphony. In every salsa beat, you can hear the djembe drum of the Yoruba. The Spanish guitar and the rhythms of ancestral spirits. One local legend in Havana is the story of La Milagrosa, a woman believed to grant miracles from her grave in the Colón cemetery. People knock 3 times on her tombstone and whisper wishes, convinced she hears them from beyond. In a country where faith and reality always walk side by side, such tales are not strange, they are part of daily life. Strolling through the old quarter, Habana Vieja, every half-open window holds a story. Of a husband lost at sea, of a child dreaming of becoming a musician, or an aging dancer longing for the stage. Each cobblestone seems steeped in the sweat, hopes, and regrets of generations. At the Floridita bar, people still speak of Hemingway like a patron saint. He sat on that very stool, sipping mojitos and capturing the soul of Cuba in every novel. On summer nights along the Malecón, a seaside promenade that stretches like a ribbon. Locals gather to sing, chat, fall in love, and forget the shortages. There is no Cuba without music, and no music without Cuba. Cubans are not rich, but they know how to live. They know how to make each moment feel whole. In the kitchens of Cuban mothers, there's always a hot pot of rice, even if there isn't much food. In the eyes of the elderly lies a quiet pride that they have lived through every turning point in history. An old man once said, "We don't need to win, we just need to hear our drums." For tourists, Cuba is a place to slow down. For Cubans, it's a place that once lived furiously. No tour will take you into the memories of a wife sending her husband to war or letters that were never sent. But they still exist in the eyes, in the voices, in the songs. And that's why when people leave Cuba, they don't just bring back pretty pictures. But something real, something deeply human. Perhaps it's because Cuba has never fully entered the modern world and has never truly left history. The peeling walls, the melodies from old radios. They whisper that memories are still alive here. And within those memories, there are the strangest smiles. Of people who have gone hungry, cried, fought, but still believe in tomorrow. No story of Cuba is complete without that belief. Because Cuba, in the end, is not just an island. It is an unfinished song, an open diary, and a symphony time has yet to finish playing. If Cuba is the revolutionary song echoing across the ocean, then Haiti is the raw, powerful drumbeat that strikes the mind with memory and the will to survive. On the same great island of Hispaniola, the east is the Dominican Republic, bustling with tourism, while the west, Haiti, is a land whose soul bears many scars. Yet it is here that the first chapter of Black freedom in Latin America was written. Haiti, the first nation in the world to win independence through a slave uprising, wrested from the French Empire in 1804. The rugged streets of Port-au-Prince still carry the imprints of protests, resistance songs, and whispered prayers spoken in the shadows. Here, voodoo is not the fearful mysticism distorted by Hollywood. Voodoo is a religion, a way of life, a means by which Haitians preserve their identity against forces that constantly seek to erase it. The people believe that the spirits of ancestors live on in the soil, in the trees, in carved wooden masks, and in rituals known as rara. During festival season, the streets of Haiti erupt with bamboo horns, leather drums, dancing, and vibrant hand-painted masks. As if both ancestors and descendants coexist in that single moment. On crumbling walls, people paint images of the Loa, deities representing love, war, the sea, illness, and healing. One of the most famous stories is of Baron Samedi, Ibi, the god of death, wearing a top hat and sunglasses, who guards the boundary between the two worlds. In voodoo, death is not an end, but part of an unending cycle. Legend says that on the night before Toussaint Louverture's great uprising, voodoo priests offered rum, black roosters, and drummed it through the night to summon the Loa's blessings. And from that belief, an enslaved people rose up and defeated Napoleon. Today, despite poverty, relentless natural disasters, and chronic political turmoil, Haiti's spirit has never surrendered. Each tin-roofed home and roadside market carries a resilience no economic index could ever measure. Haitian artists turn tragedy into art, sculpting recycled metal into voodoo figures that hang from alley walls. They paint with blood and hope. In coastal fishing villages like Jacmel, people still believe a sea spirit watches over fishermen. Legend has it, if you sail without offering her tribute, the waves will not let you return. A red cloth tied to the boat's prow is enough to calm the seas, so Haitians believe. Travelers do not come here seeking luxury, but to touch the true soul of the Caribbean. Each smile, each gaze carries the weight of a river of history. An old woman selling fried plantains in the market says, "We are poor, but we are descendants of those who defeated Napoleon." High in the mountains near Cap Haitien stands the Citadelle La Ferrière, the largest stone fortress in the Western Hemisphere. Haiti is not for those who wish to see the world through rose-tinted lenses. It is raw, real, and unpretending. And that is what makes it unforgettable and worthy of reverence. Lying on the eastern side of Hispaniola Island, the Dominican Republic wears a radiant tropical cloak. Sun-drenched coastline, golden sands, and luxurious resorts. But behind those white shores lies a turbulent history. Where the sea brought not only tourists, but once carried soldiers, slave ships, and plagues from Europe. This is where Columbus first set foot in the Americas in 1492, and where 300 years of Spanish colonial rule began. The city of Santo Domingo, the nation's capital, is the oldest European-founded city in the New World. The cobbled streets of the Zona Colonial remain, once walked by explorers, governors, and missionary priests. But among the ancient stones linger silent souls, the first Taino natives, the enslaved Africans sold into bondage, the dreams that never took form. Locals say that on nights when the moon is bright, if you walk alone past the Ozama fortress, you might hear hoofbeats and prayers whispered in Old Spanish. No one knows if it's real or imagined, but history here always breathes in the air. The Dominican Republic is a place where life forever sways between light and shadow. By day, it's a Caribbean paradise pulsing with bachata and merengue. By night, it becomes a black and white dream, glimmering with both brilliance and the bitterness of the past. Along the shores of Bahia Hibe, fishing villages still preserve their ancient rhythms. Here, fishermen build small altars near the sea, offering fruit and candles to Yemaya, the Afro-Caribbean goddess of the ocean. They believe that when the sea grows angry, only Yemaya can calm the waves. This land is also home to wandering musicians. Men who need only a guitar and a sorrowful tale to bring silence to a crowded tavern. An old man named Jose used to sing nightly in Punta Cana. He said the first song he ever learned came from his father. Who was forced to cut sugarcane during the American occupation. They took our land, but they never took our voice, he said. Step beyond the tourist zones, and you'll find villages tucked deep in the valleys. Where children play ball with dried coconuts, and elders share stories beneath swaying palms. They say there is a cave in the mountains where the Taíno once hid to escape the Spanish soldiers. In that darkness, they carved symbols into stone, the last traces of a vanishing culture. Today, a new generation of Dominican artists is rediscovering that heritage. Painting Taíno patterns on walls, instruments, even on their own bodies. They say, we are not us descendants of Africa or Europe. We are the final echoes of the indigenous. At Independence Square in Santo Domingo, people still honor the day the country broke free from Haitian rule in 1844. Yet few mention that the Haitians were also victims of colonialism. And that the history between the two nations are a tangled spiral of pain and pride. The border between these two countries on one island has never been a simple, straight line. In the hearts of Dominicans, there is pride, but also questions left unanswered. How do you love a land that has been torn apart? How do you celebrate when the wounds have yet to heal? There's an old legend, every July, when the Caribbean Sea grows strangely quiet, the spirits of the Taíno return as shimmering fish. Swimming across the bay in search of home. The elders say if you see those glowing fish, close your eyes and make a wish, for the ancestors are listening. It is stories like these that make this land feel both real and dreamlike. You can drink rum, dance merengue, and lounge on the beach like any other tourist. But if you pause, if you truly listen, you'll sense that the Dominican Republic has more layers than any island you've ever known. It is an island of music, but also of memory. Island of sunlit smiles and secrets hidden beneath each wave. As the sun sets and bachata drifts from an old speaker in a backyard, the dancing continues. Because here, to dance is to survive, and to forget what cannot be changed. The Dominican Republic is no perfect paradise. But it's precisely that imperfection that allows it to reach the deepest corners of the human soul. And when you leave this place, what lingers in you won't just be the sunlight, but the sense that you've passed through a land deeply wounded, yet still unbroken. A place called the Caribbean. Jamaica doesn't need a map for introduction, just one reggae beat, and the world knows exactly who she is. From the ghettos of Kingston to the sunlit resorts of Negril, music pulses through every vein of Jamaica. But behind the warm bass lines and the swaying hips lies a deeper story, a declaration of soul and a cry for freedom. This island was once a British colony, a hub in the transatlantic slave trade. And from that very wound, Jamaicans forged a culture no one else could replicate. From the ashes of oppression, reggae was born, like a black poem, a voice echoing from the depths of memory. Bob Marley is more than a music icon. He's a prophet who carried a message of unity and spiritual liberation. At the small house in 9 Mile where he was born, people still light incense and whisper wishes as if standing before a shrine. Locals say that he didn't die, he just returned to the motherland. And to the Jamaican spirit, that motherland is Zion, the promised land for Black people, a place without chains, without division. That ideal gave birth to the Rastafari faith, a belief that Black people will reunite in Africa. Guided by their Messiah, Haile Selassie of Ethiopia. Rastafarians wear dreadlocks, believing their hair symbolizes the Lion of Judah, an emblem of strength and dignity. Visitors to Rastafari villages near Montego Bay are invited to taste idol food, vegan meals cooked over firewood, and hear about the divine fire that lives within. Jamaicans believe music is not just for pleasure, but for healing. A young artist once said, "We are poor, but we have rhythm, and nobody can tax a sound." Tourists don't come just to swim in the turquoise waters of Dunn's River Falls or watch sunsets from Rick's Cafe. They come to understand how a small island created a global cultural wave. Every Friday evening, Halfway Tree Square in Kingston becomes a street stage. Kids beatbox with their mouths, elders play Naya Binghai drums, and voices rise in a musical prayer. No stage lights, no fancy gear, just heartbeat and belief. A legend says when the ancestors were taken into slavery, they left their souls behind in the Blue Mountains. If you walk deep into the forest at dawn, sit quietly beneath an ancient palm, you may hear whispers. Not wind, but memory. That's why many Rastafarians regard the Blue Mountains as sacred ground. The place where I and I, oneself and God, become one. Jamaican sunsets aren't just beautiful, they're sacred. Each evening, locals gaze at the sea and sing an old song. A farewell to the ancestors who made it through another day. Jamaican cuisine is its own melody. From fiery jerk chicken grilled over coals to flaky golden patties, every bite is bold and emotional. Every meal is a poem of hardship, but never without dignity. In the countryside, elders still speak of duppies, wandering spirits of the night. If you hear footsteps behind you while walking alone, don't turn around. Just keep moving. That's how Jamaicans teach one another to overcome fear. In every way of life, in every yaman or respect, you'll feel connection between people. Between humans and nature, between the present and the ancestral. Jamaica lives slow, but it beats deeply. You may come to swim, but you'll stay for something harder to name. Maybe the rhythm of a drum. Maybe the eyes of an unknown street performer. Jamaica doesn't tell you who to be, it reminds you that you already are enough. And sometimes in the sun-drenched islands that you rediscover yourself. That's why Jamaica is not just a destination. It's a state of mind. On the eastern edge of the Caribbean, where the first waves from the Atlantic crash upon the shore, Barbados rises like a gem polished by wind and memory. This is where sunlight pours directly onto honey gold beaches, and the sea sings old ballads every time evening falls. But Barbados is not just beautiful. It has character, personality, and a spirit that cannot be mistaken for anywhere else. A small island that gave birth to great things like rum, like the Crop Over Festival, like a global icon, Rihanna. The history of Barbados began with the Arawak people, then was swept aside by British colonizers in the 17th century. The island quickly became one of the largest sugar and plantation economies in the Caribbean. Sugarcane became white gold, bringing with it thousands of Africans forced into slavery. And from that suffering, the people distilled something strong and unmistakable: Barbadian rum. Mount Gay Distillery, founded in 1703, is home to the oldest rum still in existence. Here, people don't drink rum just to feel the buzz. They drink to tell stories. Every sip is a life condensed. In the seaside bars of Bridgetown, you can hear tales passed down through 4 generations. One fisherman once said, "We have no tall mountains, no gold." But we have the ocean, and our ancestors live in every wave. Indeed, the sea is the soul of Barbados. Each morning, small boats push off, not just to make a living, but to continue an unbroken line of heritage. No visitor should miss Oyston's Fish Fry, a nightly seaside market where grilled in fish. Music and laughter come together in one rhythm. There, you might hear calypso or soca music and stumble upon an old man playing harmonica. Telling ghost stories of merchant ships from centuries past. Barbados is also known for Crop Over, the harvest festival where the whole island becomes a vibrant river of color. It is a legacy of the enslaved, who once celebrated the short break at the end of the sugarcane season by turning it into a festival. Today, that celebration continues as if to declare, we were once silenced, and now we shout. During the festival, you'll see dancers in feathered costumes. Trucks booming with music like thunder, and drums echoing all night long. Yet there are quiet moments too, when elders place hands over hearts and whisper in ancient patois. They speak to the ancestors, to the sea, to themselves. In the island's north lies a limestone cave called Animal Flower Cave. Where waves crash against the rocks like breath. Legend says, on moonless nights, if you stand alone inside the cave and close your eyes, you might hear the singing of the first person to ever set foot on this island. A Taino woman who never left the cave, but left her voice in stone. Barbados has no towering mountains, but rolling hills that hum like hidden melodies. No dense forest, but winds that carry the scent of salt, sugarcane, and memory. On this island, people live with deep self-respect. From street vendors to buskers, everyone has a story to tell, and they'll share it with you if you truly listen. In the small villages, people still light candles on ancestral remembrance days, leaving a plate at the table for those who are no longer here. Ancestors don't need food, they need to be remembered, an old woman says. Barbados is where the past isn't buried. It's kept alive in songs, in dance, and in moonlit evenings by the sea. Where you can dance to soca while talking about colonial heritage. Eat spicy fish cakes while hearing stories of ghost ships and sea goddesses. And if you sit long enough, stare deep enough into the ocean, you might see a thin mist drifting across the surface. Locals call it the shadow of ancestors on patrol. That is Barbados, radiant, unfiltered, and echoing with everything that came before. A place for joy, but also for remembrance. A place to live, but also to feel the depths of history and identity. A place where the sea is not just salty, but steeped in both tears and pride. From a distance, St. Lucia looks like a dream held still in the sea. But then you see them, two peaks rising vertically into the sky, Gros Piton and Petit Piton, like twin spears piercing the blue heavens. Locals don't call them mountains. They call them two souls waiting to be set free. They are not just landmarks, they are sacred. They are the spirit of this small island nation. St. Lucia is one of the few places in the world where you can soak in volcanic mud. And then snorkel among vibrant coral reefs, all in one day. On an island barely 50 kilometers long, nature shifts like scenes from a fairy tale. Lush hills roll into jungle, then into cacao farms, waterfalls, and hand-painted fishing villages. In the village of Soufriere, where the Pitons cast their shadows onto the sea, there's a legend passed down for generations. Long ago, a Kalinago girl and an Arawak boy, members of rival tribes, ran away to the mountains to love in secret. When they were discovered, they vowed to turn into stone, to stand together forever and watch the ocean. Villagers believe that on nights of a blood moon, a red mist rises between the pitons, a love curse that cannot be broken. The elders warn, never kiss anyone beneath the mountains on that night. Unless you are ready to love forever, even in stone. But St. Lucia is more than myth. It's a land of people who live each day as if legends are real. During the La Rose and La Marguerite festivals, locals dress as queens, kings, and knights, singing ancient songs like living chapters of history. The two festivals once represented rival cultural societies. But today, they stand together to preserve a unique Creole identity, blending African and French roots. The food of St. Lucia is a dialogue between French garlic, Caribbean pepper, and indigenous technique. One signature dish is green fig and saltfish, green bananas stewed with salted coon. Served with fiery sauce and ancestral stories. On the shores of Ancestral, the island's most famous dive site, you may not only see coral, but rays gliding silently beneath the mountain shadows. One diver once claimed to hear whispers beneath the sea, spoken in ancient Kalinago. Everyone laughed, but no one denied it. The people of St. Lucia live with the mountains as if they were gods. They paint the pitons on cloth, on wooden doors, even on beer cans, as a greeting, a symbol, an eternal signature. On the national flag, the pitons rise like two eyes gazing into the future. Children here are taught that if you don't know the pitons, you don't understand where you live. And that no matter where life takes you, you should always look south, where the mountains still stand, silent and strong. The capital, Castries, is the liveliest part of the island, with fish markets and colonial churches and ferries looping across the coast. But just minutes outside the city, you find forest, waterfalls, and bumpy paths leading to cacao farms. At places like Hotel Chocolate, you can harvest your own cacao pods, roast them, and craft chocolate infused with volcanic soul. One chocolatier once said, "Every cacao bean holds a story. Its flavor depends on where the tale was told." St. Lucia was contested between the French and British over 14 times. Locals joke they changed hands more often than the island sees rainy seasons. But that only deepened their bond to their identity, an identity that needs no definition, only feeling. Night in the backyards of wooden homes, but people still play hand-carved on drums. Sing calypso and speak of the mountain spirits. There are no grand theaters, no spotlights, only rhythm, sea breeze, and faith in simple beauty. When visitors leave St. Lucia, the thing they remember most is the Twin Peaks. Not for their height, but for the way they look back at you. With pride of a small island that never bows its head. With tenderness, like two eyes guarding an ancient promise. And with permanence, the only thing that remains still in a sea that always changes. St. Lucia is the island you come to for the ocean, but stays in your heart because of the mountains. And in the quiet moments, beneath the crimson sunset, you might just hear the heartbeat of the land and a whisper saying, "Remember me." If St. Lucia is made of mountains and legends, then Grenada is made of earth and aroma. Nicknamed the Isle of Spice, tiny Grenada is saturated with the scent of nutmeg, cinnamon, cacao, and ginger. From the moment you step off the plane, the air is different, fragrant, humid, and rich, like a tropical perfume. But beneath that gentle fragrance lies a past that once burned. The capital, St. George's, reads like an open diary with stone churches, overlapping British and French forts. And bullet holes still etched into walls from the last century. In 1980, Grenada was thrust into global headlines when the United States launched Operation Urgent Fury to overthrow a local military regime. This small island of fewer than 100,000 people endured a coup, a brief civil war, and a return to peace, all within just a few years. Locals still speak of that era as a storm in memory. But Grenada never let history harden it. Instead, it distilled the past into identity. Former soldiers are now music teachers. Ex-prisoners sell cacao and share stories with visitors. On the high hills around the island lie nutmeg plantations. Where you can walk among old trees and breathe in a strange, sweet scent that lingers in the soul. People here believe this spice wards off evil, and often carry a few seeds in their pockets when heading to sea. At St. George's Market, you'll find dozens of powders, roots, and herbs stored in old glass jars, like an apothecary from another age. An old woman named Yvonne sells dream tea, a blend of hibiscus flowers. Cinnamon bark. Cinnamon bark, cacao husk, and a touch of nutmeg. Drink it, and you'll remember forgotten dreams, she says, smiling like she's just shared a secret. Grenada's beaches are less polished than on the big tourist islands, but perhaps that's what makes them feel more real. Grand Anse is the most famous, soft sand, water as clear as glass, and as still as a windless afternoon. But venture inland, and you'll find Grand Etang Lake, a volcanic crater lake surrounded by rainforest, where locals say a fairy lives beneath the surface. Legend tells of a boy who fell into the lake and was saved by the fairy, who turned herself into a school of glowing fish. And if you go boating at sunset, the water glows red like fire. That's when the fairy swims, they say. Here too, you'll find the world's first underwater sculpture park, a surreal collection of statues resting on the ocean floor. Figures stand hand in hand, eyes closed in a circle, like an ancient rite submerged beneath the waves. The work honors the enslaved Africans who perished during the Middle Passage and offers the living a place to remember the dead. Some divers feel cold down there, even in warm water. Some say they hear singing when they touch the stones. It's the dream of the sea, a guide whispers. You can only hear it if you truly listen. Grenadians don't talk much, but each smile carries depth. On the streets, people call each other by spice names: cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, as if everyone is a unique scent of their own. Carnival here is vibrant but unpretentious, like a small song that stays long in the heart. When night falls, people light candles, don traditional jab-jab masks, and dance to drums until sunrise. Each dance step is a shedding of pain, of chains, of things no longer worth holding. And truly, Grenada isn't loud or flashy, but when it sinks in, it lingers long and deep. This is a place where you can lie in a hammock strung between nutmeg trees and forget what day it is. A place where you hear drums in the distance and can't tell if it's real or just memory. Grenada is a small island, but like anything well-aged, it carries bold flavor and a lingering finish. An island that once burned, now perfumed. And that is its true strength, gentle yet powerful, fragrant yet profound. Set like a gateway between two worlds in the Caribbean Sea, Puerto Rico is where history and the present live side by side. Woven into every cobblestone and fortress wall. As an unincorporated territory of the United States. The island pulses with urban American energy while fiercely preserving its Latin language. Memory and soul like someone who never forgets their name, no matter the storm. San Juan, the capital, stands as a timeless jewel. Its centuries-old forts weathering storms and cannon fire alike. The old quarter, Viejo San Juan, is weighed with sapphire blue stones. Flanked by pastel facades and wrought iron balconies. Like a Spanish reverie still lingering above the waves. But pause for a while beneath a flame-red flamboyant tree. And you'll sense something older, quieter, watching. Before the arrival of the Spanish, this land was known as Boricua. Home to the Taino people, whose civilization thrived through nature-based wisdom, beliefs, and language. Though erased from most textbooks, Boricua lives on in spirit. Many Puerto Ricans still proudly call themselves Boricua, a name that reaches deeper than borders. They say a Taino warrior spirit guards El Morro Fortress, a sentinel who never surrendered. On stormy nights, he is said to pace the ramparts, soundless as the wind. And if you listen closely, you might catch the faint echo of footsteps against ancient stone. In the narrow alleyways, salsa pours from balconies, fast, fiery, joyful. In Puerto Rico, people dance through sorrow, sing through anger, and drum so the heart doesn't crack. A street musician once said, "Salsa is our language to the ancestors." Here, music isn't performance, it's remembrance. A thread that ties generations together. Venture beyond the city, and Puerto Rico reveals another face, untamed, vibrant. El Yunque, the only tropical rainforest under U.S. jurisdiction, shimmers with mist, giant ferns, and the hypnotic call of the coqui frog. Locals believe the forest is watched over by duendes, tiny guardians of the trees. Take a leaf without asking, and rain may fall, no matter how bright the sun. Beneath the surface, the Kamui cave system holds the whispers of the Taino, where rituals were performed. Symbols etched into rock, and prayers offered to stone. Even today, some say they hear drums resonating deep in the dark earth. On Culebra Island, Flamenco Beach stuns with turquoise water and white sands. Yet remnants of U.S. military tanks still rest there. Locals painted flowers over them, turning scars of war into quiet art. "We don't erase the past," a young artist explained. "We make it bloom." Elders believe every child is born with an espiritu guia, a guiding spirit. Though shaped by U.S. politics and waves of urban change, Puerto Rico has kept its inner flame alive, quiet, enduring. The graffiti on San Juan's walls is more than color, it's defiance. Defiance against forgetting, against dilution, against silence. When you leave this island, and you'll carry the rhythm, the rum, the forest-scented air. But what stays longest is a feeling. This land holds stories still waiting to be told. Puerto Rico may not carry the label of nation, but its spirit holds the weight of a civilization. Here, people don't ask for space. They declare their presence with drums and with song, with a smile that never looks down. Puerto Rico doesn't need independence to know it is free. And that, more than anything, is what makes it unforgettable. Like a salsa rhythm, untamed, unstoppable, and deeply felt. Curacao doesn't speak with one voice, it sings in a chorus. Tucked just off the coast of Venezuela, where Caribbean breezes meet Atlantic tides. This island is a living symphony of languages, colors, and layered memory. From above, the island looks like a watercolor in motion, deep blue seas. Homes in soft pinks and yellows, and earthen orange, stains left by time. Its capital, Willemstad, is where art meets history. Dutch-style gabled houses are painted in bright hues, not just for beauty, but to ward off sorrow. As locals say, if your walls are gray, your heart will follow. Curacao was once a keynote in the Dutch slave trade, a place where thousands of Africans were brought, then scattered across the Americas. Behind the island's vibrant charm is a history where pain drifted on ships and was tied to wooden posts. But here, music, language, and faith became quiet rebellions, the soul of the island today. The primary language is Papiamentu, a beautiful Creole woven from Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, English, and Bantu tongues from Africa. In a single sentence, you can hear echoes of 5 continents. Like the island's way of refusing to be reduced to one voice. Locals proudly call themselves UD Corsu, children of Curacao. They take pride not just in the sea's beauty, but in the fact that their voice, their language, has endured centuries of colonization. In the western hills lies the village of Barber, where legend says a mystic woman once spoke with whales. She lived in a hut lined with dried coconut husks and pressed her ear to the ground each morning to hear news from the sea. Children still believe that if you stand silently in the DVD forest during a crescent moon, you might hear her whisper in ancient Papiamentu. No one understands the words, but everyone falls quiet when they hear them. But just a few streets away, you'll find local galleries, walls filled with paintings of African longing, Caribbean seas, and dreams of liberation. One artist said, "I paint in papiamento. My canvas doesn't speak, but it sings." Curacao may not have towering mountains, but it holds the Hato Caves. Once a refuge for the Arawak people fleeing colonial forces. On the cave walls, red handprints remain, messages that seem to say, "We were here." Some believe ancestral spirits ride in from the southwest winds. If the breeze pushes against you on your way to the shore, it's a quiet reminder. Remember where you came from. Every year, the Tumba Festival sweeps through Willemstad like a musical storm. Drums, brass, dancers, and streamers fill the streets. But behind the joy is remembrance. The triumphant rhythm echoes footsteps that once wore chains. The island's signature dish is quechillena, Edam cheese stuffed with spiced meat, olives, and raisins. It's the perfect metaphor for Curacao, Dutch on the outside, Caribbean at the core. The sea here is as clear as tears, tears of time and of freedom reclaimed. Beneath the surface, you'll find coral reefs, sunken statues, and sometimes a sea turtle Osimo gliding slowly past, as if guarding memory. At night, seaside bars come alive in 5 languages at once, but every toast is shared with the same laughter. No one asks, "Where are you from?" They ask, "What's your favorite dish?" or "Can you sing?" Curacao is a place where identity isn't fixed. It flows. Like waves, like rhythms, like wind. A place where every voice is welcome, understood, so long as it speaks from the heart. Not everyone who visits Curacao understands its full story. But everyone takes something home, perhaps a simple phrase in papiamento, or a color that it never fades from memory. Curacao doesn't ask to be remembered, it only asks to be felt. And once you feel it, you'll never forget. Some islands are beautiful because of their landscapes. But others, like Curacao, are beautiful because they know how to live with memory.